Hi dear patrons, how are you today? We are in vlogging style today because you guys smashed through the first goal on this Patreon of the studio tour. So here I am with the wobbly cam. I'm sorry, I only have an iPhone 6s, so there's not much motion stabilizing, so please bear with me, but I am going to take you on a tour of my studio. It is a small bedroom that's being changed into a studio, and it's where I do all my artwork as well as run my art business. So it is crammed full. I try to keep it as organized as possible, but you know, sometimes it's really hard. So I am going to flip the camera, and then I am also going to start slightly outside of the studio because that's where I have all my packing stuff, and then come through to the room and go through everything with you. So this is just outside my studio, as in like this is my studio and here is the outside, and this is where like the spillover of the packaging lives. One of the surprising thing about being a artist and a professional artist is just the sheer amount of packaging you actually need to own. So starting from this side, these are like the envelopes that I'm going to be sending the mini paintings and dot cards in for the $25 tier patrons, and then I have the A4 size of the same packaging and then the A5 size of the same packaging. You just need a lot of envelopes. That's us on our wedding day. We got married at the Scottish National Museum in Edinburgh, because in Scotland you can literally get married anywhere. This is a painting that I did. This is the one I told you about in the live stream that it went really well, but now I'm really intimidated to take on larger pieces again. We've got some box opening tools over there so that when we get packaging we can when we get parcels we can just open it easily. Sunblock. Dreamies, we do not have a cat, we do not feed that to a hamster either. That is for a neighborhood cat, so when we go out we always have a few bits of Dreamies to feed to this homeless cat that we know isn't getting fed too well. And then it's just packaging, labels, tapes, lots of tapes, envelopes, lots and lots of envelopes, more envelopes and more envelopes, lots of tape, scales. These are just more tape. That it just is an entire box of lots of different kinds of tapes, like a backing board for when we need to make sure that something doesn't get bent. So yeah, this is my packing corner. We are back in my studio, and this is the door. Through that door is the packing area that I just showed you. These are some rolled papers that I thought were going to be really economical. One tip, don't get it if you have a small studio like me, because you just don't have the space to open them and flatten them out and use them properly. So I've been struggling to use them. Then I have some random foam boards. Now, you'll notice that I don't have much artwork in my studio, and that is because if I have my own artwork here, I just keep looking at it and then trying to compare my past self to my future self, and I find it really stifles me in terms of growth. So I just have a couple here out of the way. This is like a quick illustration I did of a hedgehog, and then this is a painting of a tree, like a fantasy tree that I did for a art course. And then I have some mounts. Now these are not for mounting, but as you can see it says border marker, and what I use this for is when I start a piece I use these to mark out the size of the painting I want to create. Took me a really long time and a lot of money to figure out it is actually cheaper to create pieces that fit into standard frame size than trying to find frames that fit your piece of art. So that's what I use these for. Some snacks to keep me going. These are some postcards from friends, and then those are some gift cards that I spotted at Paper Chase the other day. that I kind of find it quite cute and inspiring, so I put it up there. I basically covered this wall with the giant roll of paper because I didn't like the colour of the wall, but it's turning out to be a really handy way of just sticking stuff up for notes and inspiration and stuff. That is me trying to make my first lot of paints by hand. That is some Daniel Smith colours I was trying, some colour mixes that I liked, and then down here I have a ton of watercolour paper, like a ton, because I like to have lots. I'd rather drop the price point of the paper and have more, because preciousness is my biggest enemy. So that is how I combat it. And then some printed papers and cards and stuff. Paper recycling bin. I don't buy bin bags, I just reuse bags that come into the house as part of a product. Like that bag is the bag that the floor covering came in. A massive stack of my dear Fabriano Academia paper. When they go on sale, I just grab a whole load. I think I now have a lifetime supply of them. That is a box of watercolor paint stock. So when I go to Japan, I just go crazy nuts in Sekaido to make sure, and then bring back a ton of watercolor paint, like especially hard buying, because they're so much cheaper out there. A book that I'm kind of reading, working through, stack of watercolor palettes that I do use all of these, and maybe I'll do a video of that, of all my palettes at some point as well. That is the gauze test, if you remember. Stack of mini painting paper all prepped and ready to go. That is a paper kitchen bag. That is a kitchen towel. Why could I not remember that name? My scanner. Now this is my filming setup. So because I have such little space here, I can't really afford to have tripods. So what I've done is I found these desk mounts that just stretches, and I've mounted them around the table. So I have this that usually holds my iPhone to do all the filming with, and I have another one that I can replace to hold my webcam for live streaming. And then I have two LED lamps that are also on these arms. I couldn't find a desk mount like these arms that fit the LED lamps, so I kind of MacGyvered it on with lots and lots of rubber bands. You sometimes have to do these kind of things. Then this is my table, tissue, water, my dear journal that keeps me going and keeps me organized. So I couldn't actually run anything without this notebook. That is a sticker from Eve. And then that is a character called Kumamon. That is like the character for my mum's home city of Kumamoto in Japan, and I adore Kumamon. He is like the most adorable character ever. So these two, having these two on this journal makes me super happy. And doesn't like this Permade's color go perfectly with this notebook? It makes me really happy. My go-to watercolor palette, like this, spray bottle, salt that I used for the live stream the last week, some of my first go, well, the first go I had of the blue watercolor paint. We'll see how that turns out. Watercolor chart. And then I have all this. So basically this is like my HQ of tools, and everything is to hand. As you know, as I sit here, I can basically grab anything I need. At the back I have brushes, so I organize them inside. So this is size 8, this is size 10, This is size 12, and those are the ones that I use the most, so that's why they're at the front. And then I have 14, 16, 18, 20 size brushes, and they're just in jars, but I separate them with rubber band. And then I have all the flat brushes here, again organized by size. This is my most used flat, the 1.5 inch. And then I have another pot of brushes that are like rough brushes that I just use for other stuff. I also have a pot of just tool stuff. So I have like my agate tool and palette knives and oh, I can't remember what this is called. I can remember it in Japanese, but I can't remember it in English at the moment. Pipettes, that's it, pipettes. And toothbrushes, random tools really. More kitchen towels, they're everywhere. Gauze, cotton earbuds, more tape. And then this is the rest of my palette. So my porcelain palette, one of these usually live over here with this palette because I don't like mixing on plastic palettes. And then a few other palettes that I am using at the moment. Wet wipes, brush markers, the pens that I use the most, scissors and knives, and then other random tools in this one. Binder clips, gloves. I have a lot of gloves because when I do like to keep my hand well moisturized. It's just a thing that my grandmother brought me up to do. And so when I am handling any kind of watercolor paper, I always put cotton gloves on so that I don't get any like grease marks onto the paper. So, and because I use it really often, I like to have them here. Some washi tapes, lip balms and erasers and pencil sharpeners, some random bits of paper. This is where I keep my Fabriano Academia that I've cut to A4 size and punched already. Jackson's catalogue, paper trimmer, baking sheet, tissue paper. These are here because I use them for my painting, not because I do baking in my studio. Now, my tip for studios in small, tight spaces is to utilize hooks as much as you can, and that's what I do here. I have a, let's see if I can get there. I have a little wee projector here, and then elastic bands, and then lots of different kinds of rulers in ascending lengths. This is the one I use the most, the 30 centimeter, and then inches, if I need to measure anything inches, then the big 61, and then the T-square. And then I have random bits behind here, like hole punches and corner punches and stuff there, and my mask here, and then some, oh yeah, that is the squeezy painted tubes thing. And the great thing with the hooks is if you need to get into all the stuff, you just like grab them and move them aside like this so that you can get into it. So I like hooks for that. And then I have lots of glassine envelopes and clear envelopes or dot cards and paintings. My dear swatch folder lives here closest to me because I use this all the time. I can't believe I went through like a year and a half of being an artist and like 6 months of being a watercolor artist without this file, because I use it all the time now and it's so useful. Right, so let's move on to, sorry, to the bookcase. This is where I keep my random stuff. Towels, tapes, art books, more art books, spare journals, Filofax, some pan holders that I'll show you what I use them for in a minute, folders that are empty, dot cards, both like commercial dot cards and my own whole-bind dot cards that are available for the $50 tier, some random bits of paint. That is all the Tiger travel kit stuff that I've just put aside for now until I pick a winner, then I can pack it away and send it off to the winners. Some more random stuff, more random paper, Usher's paper, the strips of paper that I cut off when I turned the Fabriano Academia pad into A4 size, and I used that just for random swatching and stuff. Random selection of papers like and other stuff like graph paper, tracing paper, OHP papers, sticky backs. It just all kind of lived there. Posting stuff, clear folders, and then a little bit of the area for my hobby of doing needlework. The bottom is all just mount boards, and the little tray you can see there is just some paints drying that I need to send off to friends. Ooh, how are you guys doing? Then this is my drying rack system. So one of the things that are really important in a small studio is that you can fold things away when you don't need it and then bring them out quite easily when you do. So this is my solution to an airing rack, and I use these pan lid holder things that I found in IKEA. I just turn them on its I just turn them upright and then put boards across them, and then that makes a really good 7-tier, like a dryer airer thing. I actually have 2 of those, but I don't really have like enough space to have both of them up at the moment in this setup. I did in the previous setup, but not in this setup at the moment. So on the top is the Patreon giveaway palette that you saw yesterday drying. That is the info sheets for all the Holbein full sheet full set dot cards that are drying away nicely. And we have the Periline dot cards drying as well. Now these boards, I know they look quite dirty, but they're actually covered just in acrylic paint from when I used to do acrylic painting, so they don't actually come off on the paper or the palettes or anything. So all the dot cards are nice and safe. I know they won't come off onto the card. Right, so that is the airing thing done. Let's go over here. One of my paper trimmers, that is the relatively small one, because I have a massive one here. This, see, that's my foot. That's how big that thing is. It actually can accommodate a full imperial sheet on the long side, and having this has made my life so much easier. I used to have the short one only, and if I needed to cut the full sheet in any way, like width or lengthways, I had to do it by hand. This actually does it like just in one go, no problem. So I'm really glad I have this. So this one doesn't get as much action now as it used to, but it's still quite useful to have. This is the stock of stuff that I don't use as much. From the top, pens and pencils and pastels and stuff. Pouches, because pouches are very useful. Stationery backup, gauze and punches. Random craft stuff like jelly plating and tatting and sewing and stuff. Heavy body acrylic, fluid acrylic, more heavy body acrylic, and then 2 boxes of gauze. I have so many gauze because I had to buy a big box from America because the particular gauze I needed, you can't get them in the UK. So yeah. And then we have some more foam boards that are like these boards, and some random pieces of art that I painted and then I don't really know what to do with. I'm sure you've seen this video of this and that kind of painting. So it just lives there until I decide what to do with it. Chair. Underneath the chair I have the Sennelier 200 color box set because it can't be stored upright. And some stacks of chopping board that I use to flatten like finished pieces. Then up here I have some mounts. Those are actual right size mounts so that I can just like put them onto paintings and see what they're gonna look like at the end. we're just gonna go up here. Lots and lots of what do they call kitchen towel. Why can't I remember kitchen towel today? I just buy them when they are on sale. I do try to reuse them as much as possible. And then more packing stuff. And some spare pallets. I do go through quite a lot of them, but I like sending it to people and to do giveaways with, so I like to have a good stock of them. My workhorse of a printer, this is an A3 printer by Epson, and you can do waterproof ink printing, which is brilliant. And it actually doesn't cost more than an A4 printer, so I was really happy to find that out. Label printer, some paperwork, spare mask, some random paints, and then I have, these are all my paints, the watercolor paint, and I just have them covered, oh gosh, I have them covered with these foam boards so that when the sun hits this room, it doesn't get direct sun on the paint. And those are my paints. That side is Holbein, top row of that is Holbein, and the rest is Daniel Smith with a little bit of shaky at the top. So these are my most used. Oh, I have 2 gaps. I wonder where they are. I'll find them later. So these are the most used watercolor paints. And I just love them. Like out and displayed and like this. And it makes it so much easier to try to find a particular color. That one, the Holbein one, is ordered in like my order of Holbein colors that I just decided personally I like. And my dot cards are arranged in the same way, so it's pretty neat. And so it doesn't get confusing. And then the Daniel Smith side is arranged in the Jackson's catalog order. Just I had to pick a color order, so I picked those. I think that's it really. Oh yeah, I have a freezer because it doesn't fit in the kitchen, and it made sense to have it in the studio so that we don't have to sleep with a freezer. That's about it. That's where all my folders live. That's my palette. Artist palette, lots of different artists palette folder. That's my usual note folder, and then the black one back there is the big A3 folder to hold my Daniel Smith Color Showdown sheets that I do. So that's it for my studio tour. I hope it was interesting to you. Again, sorry for the shaky cam. I'm hoping to upgrade my phone when the new phone comes out this year. And then hopefully it'll be less shaky. This is why I don't do vlogs that often. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.